Hello and welcome to NONI, Yanga's flagship talk show, where we discuss the topics you, our viewers, are talking about, just a little bit louder. I'm Lydia Amoah, and today I'll be asking my guests about imposter syndrome, and is it a real thing, and can it be beaten? So who are my guests? Well, joining me today are health nutritionist Shahina Ali, writer for Pride magazine Emanuela Ngimbi, and worldwide head of culture and inclusion at MC and Saatchi, Serena Abbasi. Welcome everyone.
Hello.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Have you ever felt that all your successes are about luck, but all your failings come down to you, and one day you'll be found out? If the answer is yes, the good news is you're not alone. The bad news is you suffer from imposter syndrome, a psychological experience of feeling like you just don't deserve your success. So panel, is imposter syndrome a real thing, and how do you deal with it? Maybe I'll kick off with you, Serena.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
I have to say,
Yeah.
I've actually never ever experienced imposter syndrome.
Okay.
Ever.
All right, okay, so it's not a real thing to you?
No, it isn't. It really isn't. I feel so thankful to my parents.
Yes.
I think they've just raised me in such a way where it's just like, you're bringing so much value to every single thing that you do, and people need you.
Yeah.
You know, in their organisation, in their life, and that's just how I've been raised.
Okay. So have you never ever felt like, oh, I'm not good enough? You've never had those voices in your head?
No.
Never a negative thought in your life?
Not in regards to business, but I did actually have a moment in my last relationship where he broke up with me, and I was just like, did he break up with me because maybe I'm not good enough for him? Yeah. And there was definitely a moment of that, but literally it was a moment. Okay. And then I just in that kind of internal voice.
So you're the lucky one. You're the lucky one then. So let's move on. Tell me, Emanuela.
There was a point where I had to interview a group of 5 people.
Yes.
It was at the beginning of my career. I was still new to the magazine.
Is this at Pride magazine?
Yes, at Pride magazine.
Yes.
And then I was getting ready before the group arrived, and then I was like, oh my gosh, can I do this? So many people at once, like, how am I going to do this? And then I just had to snap out myself. I had to talk to myself and be like, you can do this, you've got this, it's fine.
Yeah, so it's definitely a real thing. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, okay.
For me personally.
And Shahina?
I think many times, and I think everyone, I mean, no matter, even if you're not aware of it yourself, there are many times which subconsciously you might be feeling imposter syndrome and doubting yourself without realising it. And I think that really limits your scope for going for opportunities. And I've experienced it, whether in professional life or in a personal life, but mainly in professional life. Yeah. And I think there's so many. For example, I was working in investment banking. It's a very male-led, dominated industry. And as one of the only females on the trading floor, it's very difficult to overcome your own doubts about your abilities and skills. So definitely. But I think really overcoming that was seeing how I'm limiting myself, and to free myself from that. The biggest favour you can do yourself is to free yourself from self-doubt.
That's a really good point. Listen, let's watch a little clip which was made for Stylist magazine about imposter syndrome.
Do I think I'm good enough? Do I think I've been fooling people? Do I think I'm going to be found out?
Well, imposter syndrome is the belief or fear that someone else could or should be doing the job that you're doing, and that for some reason you're not good enough or don't deserve the job that you've been given.
I think a lot of senior women do experience it. Certainly a lot of my female peers that are at the top of their game in their industries, I know they talk about it with me a fair amount.
You perhaps feel you've been over-promoted. You don't feel you've worked hard enough. You don't think you know enough. There's all sorts of reasons, but a lot of that has to do with a lack of underlying self-confidence.
The cause of lots of imposter syndrome with women is, as children, we were not really allowed to show off. It was rather an unfeminine thing to do.
Women generally feel that they have to have the knowledge 99% of the job to be able to do it, whereas I don't think men have the same feeling. I think generally men think, if I can do 50% of the job, I'll sort it out.
If you feel that you've got your job through some sort of tokenistic appointment, that may well imbue a feeling of, I don't really deserve this, I'm just here as a placeman or a placewoman, as a token.
There are more male role models, whereas for women in lots of jobs, if they haven't grown up seeing women in those roles, it doesn't feel like a natural fit for them.
I can't think of a single positive of female imposter syndrome. I think it's something that holds women back, and I think it's something that, you know, they should seek some counselling and overcoming.
If you are suffering from imposter syndrome, it means that you care a lot about your job and about your career. You do end up pushing yourself, your knowledge, your work ethic, everything. So I think that's the positive from it.
Be like water. You hit a brick wall and it doesn't matter. You get over, through, under, around, you'll just get through it.
Feel the fear and just get on with it anyway, because every time that you do the job and you do it well, you're building up proof points that you are capable and that you deserve the job. Fake it till you make it.
In this country now, we're beginning to clock the things that we do that aren't so helpful to us. That gives me hope that imposter syndrome will never be as powerful again as it has been to date. And I think women particularly can take a leading stance on that to try and make sure that we stop diminishing ourselves when actually we are wonderful things.
Okay, so Serena, look, you're one of the lucky ones, okay? This lady has never felt, you know, imposter syndrome, so, you know, and obviously you've spoken about the fact that you have felt, both of you have felt that.
Yes.
Is there anything in that clip that, let's say, you know, that you resonated with? And let's broaden it out for you, not just to the workplace, let's say relationships.
Yeah. So actually I will go back to workplace actually.
Okay.
Not that I felt it, but I can understand how people would. I don't know if you're familiar with Frantz Fanon, but he's a Martinican theorist. He's passed away now, but he has this thing called the black double consciousness.
Okay.
But you can relate this to gender. Yeah. So I don't just perceive myself as I, but I actually perceive myself through the eyes of the majority.
Okay.
And so there's a split in consciousness, and I think for a lot of people that may, I imagine, experience imposter syndrome, maybe that's what's happening, is actually they're thinking far too much about how the majority are viewing them.
Okay, yeah. They're thinking more externally, would you say?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I don't really do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really do that.
So it's not the double consciousness you're saying, it's more like the singular consciousness.
Yeah.
Who you are as a being.
I just feel very strong in who I am.
But how did that happen? That didn't just happen?
Well, you know, it's my raising. It's the way, and you know, they obviously alluded to it also in the, you know, there's a lot. I think it was Harvard Business Review
Business School,
and they had mentioned that if women have mothers that had worked, they're more likely to actually out-earn their peers who didn't have that representation of working mothers. Yeah. And my mother was a working mum. And so I've always known that actually, as a woman, you work. Okay. Well, for me at least. Yes. You know, you don't have to be. You know, obviously, working in the home is still a form of work.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Manuela, talk to me about yourself.
Yes.
And this point about imposter syndrome. Talk to me about that. So maybe tokenism. You work for a magazine, a leading magazine. Yeah. Yeah.
So definitely, imposter syndrome can affect me in certain aspects of the job. Like I'll go to events, I'll go to screenings.
Yeah, you must go to so many amazing events.
Yeah. Luckily, and then there'll be people there as well, like older people, I guess, and just like white men in their 50s as well. Yeah. And I'm just there, I'm just this young black girl from London, from East London. I feel like I don't 100% belong.
Where does that come from? Why are you thinking these things?
I think also due to representation. Okay. Like we don't see, I don't really see myself growing up on TV as well. Yeah. Like there were a few presenters that I saw for sure, definitely. But in terms of what I do as well, for Pride magazine, it's a Black women's magazine, so that was definitely.
Does that give you a bit of a boost?
Definitely.
So imagine when you grew up, if you saw lots of Manuelas around, would that have made you feel more confident in yourself?
For sure.
For sure.
Yeah, loads of Manuelas going to screenings, going to events.
Yeah, so representation, it's all about this representation.
Yeah.
In terms of representation, I think that's what sort of in some ways added to my ability to overcome the self-doubt, because I thought to myself, park the self-doubt to the side for the time being, and then just go for it, do what I need to do, because something that I might say or contribute will actually resonate with someone out there who might overcome their own self-doubt because of what they're seeing me do. And I think that's really important to sort of set aside your own sort of, not self-obsession, but really looking at your own consciousness in terms of self-consciousness, and think about other people who might resonate with you. And that's really going to help you trying to overcome the self-doubt.
Yeah. So just thinking like this, you know, especially for you, Serena, you know, you're in this role, like you're working with diversity, you know, and this is really key, what we're touching on here. And, you know, what are your thoughts about, say, tokenism, you know, like having, you know, in the workplace? And,
So I'm just going to like backtrack slightly. So like I work with a lot of men, but when I walk into a room full of men, I'm like, this is great, because this is an opportunity for me to bring my feminine energy, and obviously we've all got masculine energy as women too, and I'm not trying to compete with them. I'm just bringing a different energy to the space, which I absolutely love.
What about somebody not as confident as you? They might feel as though they're a token or something, a token woman in a room, or token black woman in a room, or token Asian woman in a room.
100%. So for me...
Yeah, and that's the root of imposter syndrome, I'm just thinking, you know, Serena.
So like for me, tokenism is actually just being the first.
Yeah. And that's how you view it.
That's how I view it.
You're mind flipping it, aren't you?
Yeah, so that's how I view it, and it means that it is my duty to make sure I bring as many women of colour into the space as possible, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I do. That's how I see it.
Okay, we need to take a short break, but when we come back, I want to ask my panel about their thoughts on how they've dealt with imposter syndrome and other negative thoughts, and what advice they'd give to others. See you after the break. Welcome back to NONI with me, Lydia Amoah, and my fabulous guests, Shahina Ali, Manuela Gimbi, and Serena Abbasi. Now, apparently, if a woman sees a job advertised and in that job description, there's 10% of it for which she feels unqualified, she generally won't apply. However, if a man sees a job advertised and there's 50% of it he can't do, he'll apply thinking, I'll pick that bit up as I go along. It's all about having the right mindset. So panel, how do you combat negative thoughts in the workplace and stay positive? Let's talk.
Well, as you saw from the clip earlier, I think there is such a thing as male privilege in the fact that from a young age they've been told to really go for it, wherever opportunities come up across, you know, in front of them. I think as women, we always have to analyse and think, is there a chance that we're going to be able to get it or not? How much do we have to do to be able to get it? But really, I think the statement that Richard Branson actually said, which is really to go for, say yes to the opportunity and then think about how you're going to do it as you go along.
A bit like the male approach, you know, like 50%.
Really
I'll just go for it, and I'll learn as I go.
Absolutely, and I think that's really relevant to everyone, men or women.
So how are you dealing with those negative thoughts?
And I think that's really the philosophy that I really push forward with. I personally went ahead with. And I think it's really, really useful, and it has created positive results.
You know, in the video, one of the women said, look, fake it towards, you know, fake it and make it. Do you think that brings good results?
I think you have to have a slight foundation of something solid to work with before you can go ahead with that.
Okay.
Definitely, there is a way around it with Richard Branson's statement.
Serena?
I think it's also worth mentioning that men also suffer from imposter syndrome.
It's true.
And so this is definitely not something that is, and we're talking really binary language here, it's not just women that would suffer from it. But yeah, for me, do you know what? I have to say, just hats off to my parents. I had a pretty unorthodox childhood, but like, they've
done... What does that mean?
That's for another show. That's for another show. Okay. But they've done a few things very, very well, and they've instilled so much confidence in me that I can literally do anything that I want. And from like literally the youngest child, this is basically what I was brought up with, this philosophy.
But listen, I want to challenge you a bit, Serena.
Please do it.
Come on. I know that you're a human being, so you would have had some negative thoughts. I want to know how you've overcome those.
Like negative thoughts in the sense I don't think I can do my job?
Yeah, just anything, you know, because imposter syndrome is not just about work. It manifests in the workplace.
In regards to my job, no. And that is really, like, honestly, no. But in regards to, like, relationships, I've definitely had moments where I was like, I just don't know if I can do this. But I think that speaks more to what had been my massive issues with commitment. I don't have those issues anymore.
Yeah. So you know, Serena, so I'm picking on Serena here, guys.
You really are, aren't you?
Yeah, but
come on then.
But, you know, come on, if you've never had a negative thought and, you know, never experienced imposter syndrome, what challenges you? Because we all have challenges. What challenges you?
What challenges me?
Yeah.
I do what I do because, and I'm not fearful of doing what I do because I'm doing it for society.
Yeah. So the challenge is?
So there isn't a challenge there. Basically, my sense of purpose is so great that I don't let fear and negativity get in my way. Because I'm like, actually, it's not about me. It's about the rest of society. And that's what has me get through it. Like, honestly, I just do not have that in regards to my career and in regards to what I'm putting out into the world. But as I said, I did have a moment with my recent ex where I was just like, oh, did we break up because, you know, does he think he's too good for me?
It's good, but you're all learning from one another, you know, here, and I think that's fantastic, honestly. But Manuela, listen, you know, you've been in situations where, let's say, maybe you've been the only black woman in the room, you know, so how would you now overcome that?
Well, actually,
would you go up to the white man and, you know, say, look, this is me, I'm the writer?
In fact, me and my sister, we moved to Portsmouth when we were, like, during our teenage years.
Yes.
We were the only 2 black kids in the school.
Okay.
So that was a shock. That was a shock.
Shock in the DNA.
Definitely, especially moving from London, which is such a multicultural city.
Yes.
So that was definitely a shock to the system. So getting over that, I think it was just my mum instilled in me, like, whatever you're doing, you're meant to be here. This is part of your path. This is part of your journey to where you're going. And that's what I try to say to myself, especially during times where I feel like I'm going to imposter syndrome. It feels like those thoughts are coming to my head of self-doubt. So I know that I'm on the right path. I've worked hard to be here, and I belong here.
Okay, love. On that point, so Shahina, I'm coming to you. So the thing about imposter syndrome is always this fear, I'm going to get found out.
That's true. I think it's really focusing on yourself bit too much and trying to take away that focus and like Serena said, focus on the external instead. Think about who you're representing, because in terms of tokenism, as we mentioned earlier, if you look at this is your chance to basically shine and also represent everyone else and bring them into the picture as well. So other women of your ethnic background, for example, into the picture, and really reflect that to people of a different background.
Okay.
So if you focus on that,
you're saying shine a bit more.
Absolutely.
Okay, and so we know it's a real thing. Yeah. And you know that sometimes that voice might go off in the head.
Yeah. So
I'm not good enough, or
absolutely, and then you have to really park your own sort of self-consciousness.
Yeah.
And then
how?
Just think to yourself, I'll deal with that later. Yeah. Maybe you'll come back to it later. For this next
you say it to yourself, literally in the mirror.
Well, mentally, you'd have to say it to yourself, because in some ways that's the only way you'd be able to not believe it, but really affirm it to yourself.
Okay, so it's like, if you think about that, like negative thoughts, so how are you combating like these negative thoughts, because we each have them sometimes.
Yeah, but if you deal with them straight away at the point of a situation where you're going to have to shine, you won't be able to shine, really.
Yes.
You'd basically sort of break down a little bit mentally.
And is that what you did when you say you were on the floor? You were on the trading floor?
Yes.
One of the, an Asian female on the trading floor.
The only Asian female.
The only Asian female,
out of three women. And so it's very difficult.
How many men were there?
About 60 men.
60 men, okay.
And so it's very difficult to deal with that aspect of yourself. But I actually thought to myself, okay, this is my time to be able to shine and show people that I can do it, but people of my background and also women can do it as well.
Were you successful?
Yeah, I mean, I was there for over, I went into a senior level, and then I basically went into a different career after that, which is in the nutrition and health field.
Yes.
So I went into medicine after that. But I found that it's important to really deflect the focus from yourself and think of the bigger picture. And that's the way to minimise self-consciousness.
That's really, I was going to, because we've discussed in this, I want to ask, have you worked alongside any imposters?
Oh,
have you you don't have to say names. And what are their personal, how can you tell an imposter? Yes. Serena.
Oh, how can you tell an imposter?
What are they emitting?
That They're really good at delegating. Everything.
Okay. That's a good point.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah. And do they take the praise?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. What about yourself? Have you ever worked? There's not mention. It could be in any collaboration or something. Have you seen that?
Definitely. While at university, working in retail.
Yes.
On the shop floor. Certain managers.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
What are they doing? How are they communicating, for example?
Very strongly negative, probably shouting.
Okay, so we're talking some of the traits are negative, shouting, not the best communicator, delegating quite a lot, not taking responsibility. I hear that as
one of the biggest things. I can't say for certain that I've worked with imposters, but I suspect.
Okay, so what was
I think one of the biggest traits was actually not taking responsibility for actions and delegating, as you mentioned.
Okay.
But definitely not taking responsibility. It's always blame shifting, and that's really, really obvious.
Yes.
When that happens.
Yeah. I hear that. I want to ask you, all of you, if you think about young girls growing up, so you hear sometimes like, that's a bossy young girl, but can we just maybe speak a different word over them to say, look, you're being assertive. You know what you want. What do you think about that?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, language is so important.
Isn't it?
And language is racialised, it's gendered, it's all these different characteristics. And it's, we have to be incredibly careful that we don't label the sexes with different language. Which we tend to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously the fact where it was in the press recently, actually, and women are labelled as hysterical if they stand up for themselves and are hungry about something. Whereas men are just putting their point across.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, 100% agree with that. Yeah, and Beyonce once famously said, "I'm not bossy, I'm the boss."
Oh wow!
So she was being assertive, like she was putting her point across, and being like owning it, because. Essentially running her business, so she has to be assertive. Yeah,
I was just thinking, imagine like a female being out there being like Trump, say how would she be received? What are you thinking?
How would she be received?
Yeah.
She just wouldn't.
If she was tweeting all the time,
she just wouldn't be there.
Slagging off people saying this, that, and the other. As a woman,
she would be totally locked up. She wouldn't be given that platform.
Yeah.
No way.
You think no way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd be given an opportunity like that.
Often, listen, young girls are, told in some cultures, to be seen and not heard. I don't know if that resonates with anybody. Because what about your background?
Absolutely.
How did you grow up as a child?
I think it's been pretty much a struggle to get to certain positions I've gone into because
the messages.
Absolutely.
Serena mentioned about the words that are spoken over us.
Yeah, and I was told that obviously it's not even always told; it's actually implied or. There is a sort of expectation to be quiet, to be not submissive, but to really follow through on certain fields in life and not go for other fields that I wanted to go forward with. And I think really looking at, again, the bigger picture has helped rather than just focusing on myself.
Yes.
And that helps me, it gives me strength to ignore the naysayers, really. Yeah. Because I've been proved right and they've been proved wrong because of looking at that.
So really all the top tips are saying, like, go for it, it's all about the messaging in your mind. And it's going to be there, but and we all know the signs.
Though. Absolutely be prepared. Have a slight solid foundation to start
be prepared. Yeah, I love that. Thank you very, very much.
My pleasure.
That's it from me, Lydia Amoah, and my fantastic guests, Shahina Ali, Emanuela Nigimbi, and Serena Abassi. Thank you for joining me, and don't forget, every episode of NONI is online at yangatv.com. So wherever you are in the world, you can see this show and other great content from Yanga. Join us again soon for more entertaining conversation. Goodbye.